Hello, Planet Earth. I spent about a month in the Philippines, in Manila and Cebu City, and I just want to give you guys a reason why I'm not coming back. Please don't get mad, all right? Just hear me out. This is my experience. This won't be your experience, but this has been happening to me all over Southeast Asia, and frankly, I'm kind of tired of it. All right, so this gentleman's Instagram right here is Joe Ash 666999, and then here we have a picture of him. So this is what that guy looks like, right? So yesterday, I'm going back to my hotel, my second to last day, right? And I'm trying to cross the street. I see this gentleman across the street with what appears to be his mother and sister. And I see him staring at me. And this is something that happens all the time in Asia. And I know he's checking me out, whatever, it's okay. But he's just like this. Like a dog is when they're like breathing. And I'm like, okay, all right, here we go again. So I have about like 90 seconds because the light lets you know how much time you have left before you have to cross the road. Finally, I get to cross, and he's like this. He's just trying to stare at me. He is staring at me. He's like in America, well, anywhere, that would be extremely weird, but I'm just supposed to be cool with it in Asia. And so I see him staring at me. I go, as I'm passing him to go into my hotel, I'm like this. No, no, no. And he's just like, and it's like, come on, man. And then here is a comment from this gentleman that I just talked about. And he says here, just saw you this afternoon crossing the road traffic lights in front of Cocotel Cebu Adira. Very handsome. Okay, the comment, whatever, okay? But it's just the fact that he was looking at me in the strangest way. I don't even know how to describe it to you guys. It was so weird, and it was so like animalistic, and it's something I had to deal with in Manila and Cebu City every time I go outside, right? Whether I'm going to a mall, whether I'm going to Jollibee, anywhere. There's at least 20 to 30 men that will openly be like this. And they're infatuated with me, and I don't understand why, right? Because it's so strange, like how I've been to 36 countries now, and many other places has, you know, men of the LGBTQ scene. That's fine, whatever. But there's also like a border of respect, and in Thailand, there's more so, but it's pretty bad out there. But in the Philippines, it's the worst I've ever seen, all right? So I have anxiety, all right? And that's just me. And I see people online talk about their issues and stuff like that, but I have anxiety. I don't like when people stare at me, all right? Unless you're my friend, unless I know you, why are you staring at me? And I feel like that's everyone around the world. And in the Philippines, I had to constantly deal with people staring at me. And let me give you another example, right? I was on a date with a Filipino woman, right? Beautiful woman, right? We go to Ayala Cebu Center, which is just a really nice mall here, right? We are holding hands like this, right? Walking with each other, right? And then like this guy comes up to me. I'm holding this woman's hand, right? This guy comes up to me. Oh my gosh, you're so handsome. Where are you from? And so at first I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then she's like, what are you doing? She says that to the guy. And the guy's like, what? You could share. And then like he gets like really offended. And I'm like, is this happening? And I'm like, hey man, I bring her hand. I'm like, I'm kind of busy. I appreciate you shooting your shot, but what are you doing? I was like, if I went up to a couple, right? If I went up to a woman that was with her man and she was holding her hand and I started flirting with the woman, then I would expect to get punched in the face by that guy. But since it's a guy-to-guy action, the woman's not going to do anything. And I don't understand it. I've been on multiple dates with that same woman, right? But that's the only time that a guy's approached me. But the other times, there'll be guys that will just come walk by us intentionally, or they'll sit next to us whenever I'm eating, and they'll like try and look at me, try and stare at me. And I'm like, what is wrong with this? Like, everything about the Philippines is great, except for this. It's like some kind of weird aggressiveness that I don't understand. And I just want you guys to, if you're part of that scene, just be respectful, all right? Because I'm not. So it's the only negative I've seen about the Philippines. And I'm probably going to get a lot of flack. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. But at the same time, it's weird. It's really, really weird, okay? Like, hey, come out the closet, live your life, you know, be trans, I don't care. Do whatever you want, right? But at the same time, if someone doesn't want to be stared at, then you should, like, human nature, like, something internally should say inside of you, like, hey, I'm staring at this person. Let me not stare at this person, okay? And I've experienced this before when I was in India, but I give more leeway to India because they're not staring at me in like a animalistic way. They're staring at me like just curious, okay? But in the Philippines, it's like this. I'm not talking about just one guy. I'm talking about a lot of men. So every time I go outside, every single time I go outside in the Philippines, I have to deal with this, and it's just frustrating. And I don't like it at all. Okay, I really do not. So it's just, I know it's a part of life. Whatever. All right, let me give you another example. This is in Vietnam and Da Nang, right? And this is not. I know it's not the Philippines, but in the Southeast Asian culture, it's almost okay for men to like, like, kind of be a little aggressive to the point where it's like, dude, chill. So I'm at a bathroom, right, in Da Nang, Vietnam, right, at this bar. I forgot the name of the beach bar, but basically there's two urinals, right, and then there's me waiting to use the urinal. There's a Vietnamese guy and then a white guy, right. So I'm on my phone, whatever. It's like probably 8:30 at night, and then these guys are using the urinal, right. This Vietnamese guy turns to the white guy, right, and he's like, and he looks down at his package, and he's like, "You're so handsome," and the white guy, he turns and he's like looking at him, right. Then he looks at me. And then he looks back, and I'm like, what? And so the Vietnamese guy leaves, right? And then me and this guy start talking, right? And he's like, did you hear that guy? I was like, I think so, but what'd he say? He's like, you're handsome. And he looked at his thing. And I'm like, dude, what? And so me and the guy start talking, right? Turns out he's a Polish guy. We instantly connect. I get his Instagram, he gets mine, and then we've been talking back and forth. But basically, it's just kind of weird. Like at a urinal, that's not the time and place to be flirting with the man, all right? That's like, what he did was sexual harassment. In America, you go to jail for that. I know that's Vietnam, all right? But I've experienced this in Thailand. I've experienced this in the Philippines. I haven't experienced that in Vietnam, but I saw it with my own eyes. And it's just really strange, right? Like, guys, if you're in that LGBTQ scene, chill, relax, okay? Be yourself. But if someone, like, I know if I'm making a woman, if I go up to a woman, right, and I've done this in the Philippines, I've done this in many, many countries, right, where I'll try and flirt with them, try and talk with them, try and get their Instagram, and they'll be like, no, thank you. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'll walk away. I move on with my life. But in Southeast Asia, there's no, like, I feel like there's some weird barrier to entry. So basically, when I was with that woman and the guy approached us, she got really mad at the guy, and she's like, you need to leave. You need to go away. He's busy talking about me. And I was just like, okay. So I'm going to release this video by the time I'm outside the country. And just remember, I think the Philippines is great. I think the people are great. But it's weirdly aggressive in that scene to the point where I don't have to be worrying about every time I go outside of dudes staring at me, like, incessantly. And so it's just tiring, It really is. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you if you're a Filipino, all right? But I just want you to understand that it's very strange, especially since I've been to 5 continents, and it doesn't happen like this anywhere else except Thailand, but to like 50% less in Thailand. Even though it's kind of bad out there, the Philippines is the worst I've ever seen, all right? So just chill, guys. Chill and be yourself, all right? I'm sorry if I offended you, but thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.